Mary Jane retched once again. The beer flowed through her mouth and nose, and she felt sick with a pounding headache and a queasy stomach. And when the church chimed 9 bells, she thought, "Shit, it's only 9, a bloody clock." Still bent over her head in her hands, she straightened with a start when she felt a strange hand on her shoulder. Her first immediate thought it was a shunter, but she wasn't sure if it was a relief or not when she saw the man with a big smile wearing a sandwich board with the "Wages of sin are death" emblazoned on it.
"Hello, my dear,"
he said. She rolled her eyes as the next wave of nausea set in, and the vomit flowed out onto the street.
"Have you been drinking, my dear?"
She took a moment to compose herself and straightened fully, her stomach eased but still a bit queasy.
"No, Reverend,"
she said, shaking her head.
"What makes you think that?"
"I have come save you, my dear."
Mary Jane smiled with more than a little irony.
"Really?"
"I have a mission in Stepney for ladies just as yourself."
"I'm sure you have. And there was me thinking you were going to whisk me away to a life of a lady in leisure."
"Temperance and godliness, my dear."
Mary Jane nodded thoughtfully.
"Thanks for the offer, mate. But the last time I tried that, my saviour couldn't keep his hands to himself, or anything else for that matter."
"I'm sorry to hear that. Trust me, there are good God-fearing people in the world."
"I don't doubt that. I just doubt they're for me. I'm past redemption."
He placed a comforting hand on her arm.
"Nobody's past redemption."
She looked into the man's eyes, and he seemed genuine. She looked away and towards the 10 bells. It was a busy night, and there was possible money to be earned. She needed money now Joe wasn't earning much, and she needed a drink.
"I know you mean well, mate, but I'm behind on my rent."
He gave her a comforting smile.
"You're not past redemption, my dear. My name's Frederick Charrington, and the offer of a safe place to start afresh remains there if you change your mind."
Mary Jane watched as the sandwich board man moved off down the street. She stood for a moment deep in thought. Even though it was good that some people cared, she couldn't help thinking some were deluded if they really thought that things would ever change.
Caleb stood on the corner of Dorset Street and Crispin Street, hands buried deep in his coat pockets, eyes scanning the night. The street was quiet, the air thick with fog and the faint scent of coal smoke. A woman passed by, early 30s, maybe a bit more. Pretty, though life had clearly worn her down. She gave him a quick smile and a polite nod.
"Hello, love. You all right?"
Caleb said, watching her carefully. She stopped, still smiling though it barely reached her eyes.
"You lonely?
He chuckled.
"No, you're all right, love. I'm waiting on a job."
At this time of night?
She laughed lightly.
Not being a naughty boy, are you?"
"No, not me.
He replied, lips curling into a wry smile.
I'm a good boy, me."
"Yeah, I bet you are."
She grinned, then looked around. Her expression dimmed.
"What about you?
Caleb asked.
Should you be out this late with everything that's been going on?"
She shrugged.
Gotta do what you gotta do, ain't ya?
What would your old man say?
He already said it. Don't need to go out, do you? But we couldn't make rent this week. I ain't living on the street. Not with the kids.
There was a heaviness in her voice now, a crack just beneath the surface.
Can't he find work?
Oh, he works. We're costers. Just didn't make enough this week, that's all.
Does that happen often?
Sometimes.
She said, forcing another smile.
Too often, really.
I'd love to help you out, love, but I'm skint myself.
Caleb said, offering a sad smile. Another man passed by. The woman straightened slightly, summoning as much seduction as her tired, worn-down spirit could manage.
"Hello, handsome,"
she called, trying to sound playful. The man didn't even glance at her, just kept walking. She turned away, pretending it hadn't mattered. But Caleb saw it. That quiet rejection of her body, her worth, hit like a hammer to whatever dignity she had left. He felt it in his gut, the quiet desperation, the soulless routine of it all. This woman didn't want this, didn't enjoy it, didn't gain anything but a night's roof, maybe food. She was surviving, nothing more. He wondered how her man must feel sitting at home, knowing what she was out doing just to keep them from the gutter, the helplessness of it, the quiet shame. Caleb had seen that look before, in the spike, in the doss houses, in the holding cells. This was the best of the worst, and he knew it. And now, even with a lunatic out there butchering women, like Mary Jane had said, it was either the street or the river. Caleb had known a few who'd chosen the river. The woman turned, gave him a half smile.
Be good.
She said.
I'm always a good boy, me.
He replied, trying to lighten the moment.
You take care now, love. You hear?
She drifted off into the mist, her long skirt whispering against the damp cobbles. Caleb watched her go. She stopped to talk to a scruffy-looking man coming the other way. They exchanged a few quiet words, then disappeared together into a nearby alley. Caleb didn't move. He waited. Then Harry appeared from the shadows, nodding once. It was time. They had an errand to run for Macca. Harry gave Caleb a nod, eyes flicking once down the alley where the woman had vanished. He said nothing. Didn't need to. They both knew the score.
Come on,
Harry muttered, pulling up the collar of his coat against the drizzle.
let's not keep Macca waiting.
They moved fast, cutting through the tight lanes and alleys that twisted off Commercial Street like veins. The gaslights flickered overhead, dull orange halos in the fog.
What's the job?
Caleb asked, his voice low. Harry didn't look at him.
Simple pickup. Bundle in a sack at the back of a tallow shop near Old Montague Street. Some bastard owed Macca money and left collateral.
What kind of collateral?
Didn't ask. Was told not to open it. We collect, we deliver.
Caleb grunted.
Always with the bloody sacks.
They reached the shop, a grimy front shuttered for the night. Behind it, the yard stank of old grease and rotting fat. A stray cat hissed and bolted as they approached the bundle, a lumpy, knotted sack sitting under a broken bench. Caleb bent down and tested the weight.
Jesus, what's in this? A body?
Harry didn't smile.
Wouldn't be the first time.
They hauled it between them, silent now. Caleb's arms burned by the time they reached Gun Street, where a cart waited. A thick-set man with a pipe watched them approach, nodded once, and motioned to the back.
On you go, lads.
The sack hit the cart bed with a dull thud. Caleb looked at the man.
This going straight to Macca?
Not your business.
The man said, already climbing up to the front. The cart rolled off. Harry lit a cigarette, staring after it.
You think it was a body?
Caleb asked after a moment. Harry blew smoke into the mist, shrugged.
Who the fuck cares?
They stood for a moment, the street quiet, but for the clop of the cart's hooves fading into the fog.
You did all right,
Harry said eventually.
Mac'll like that.
Yeah.
Caleb said.
One more job like that and I'll be able to afford a bed and a pint.
Harry chuckled and walked off into the gloom. Caleb stayed a moment longer, then turned and vanished into the night.
Moses had been a tailor all his life, and he hated it. He hated the long hours. He hated the monotony. He hated the stink of fabric dye and sweat. He despised his wife. He tolerated his friends. But there was one thing he enjoyed about his trade: the power. The real profit of his workshop wasn't the clothes they produced. It was watching the people who made them suffer. Most of his workers were newly arrived Jewish immigrants fleeing the pogroms of Eastern Europe. They had escaped one hell only to fall into another, and Moses liked it that way. He didn't care that they were his own people. He didn't care that they were starving, coughing up blood, or sleeping three to a bed in filthy lodging houses. Compassion was not in him. If he hated his life, then everyone under him would hate theirs more. That was what gave him pleasure, and of all his workers, he hated Aaron most. Why? He didn't know. He just did. Maybe because Aaron still had a spark in his eyes. Maybe because he sensed something was unusual about him. Maybe because Aaron saw right through him. The feeling was mutual. Before coming to England, Aaron had been a felcher, a leather tanner, and he had struggled to adapt to needlework. Moses punished him for every mistake, every crooked stitch, every second of hesitation, each fine cut deeper into Aaron's wages, until some weeks he had almost nothing left to pay for food or his dossbed. On those nights, he slept on the floor at his sister's place off Flower and Dean Street. Her husband made shoes in their cramped single room, the air thick with the eye-watering stench of horse glue boiling in a tin. The damp walls sweated. The smoke from the fire never cleared. The fumes made them all drowsy and nauseous. Aaron blamed Moses for every misery in his life. What Moses didn't realize was that Aaron watched him. Closely. Aaron saw the way Moses strutted around like a king on his raised wooden platform, overseeing the room full of gaunt workers below like an emperor surveying slaves. He noticed the way Moses checked his pocket watch every Friday, the day he went to the bank. He also knew Moses had a weakness: prostitutes. Aaron hated prostitutes. Never understood how a married man could lower himself like that. Another reason to despise Moses. Aaron had garnered a taste for self-abuse that led him away from the unfortunates, but also maybe, so frowned upon as it was in societal norms, towards the asylum. The sweatshop was silent except for the constant hiss of irons and the rhythmic clack of sewing machines. The air was stale, thick with lint, heavy on the lungs. Aaron's fingers were cracked and bleeding. His eyes ached. His back throbbed. 16 hours of stitching. 16 hours of endurance. From his raised deck, Moses loomed like a vulture. The clock on the wall chimed 10. Moses checked his pocket watch. Aaron watched him do it and thought, I wonder how much that's worth. Moses looked up. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, it felt as if Moses could hear his thoughts. Moses glared coldly. Aaron looked away. Moses stood, cleared his throat, and his voice thundered across the workshop. Right, everybody. 6 o'clock sharp in the morning. Understand? Chairs scraped. Bodies groaned. The workers rose slowly, their joints stiff, their limbs numb, moving like old men, though many were barely into their 20s. The promise of alcohol, the only comfort, waiting for them. Aaron stood too, though his bones protested. He had someone to meet tonight, someone who might change everything. After another soul-destroying day in Moses' sweatshop, he was more than ready.
Macca stood behind the counter of his chandlery on Dorset Street, arms folded, listening as Donny, the deputy from Crossingham's over the road, spoke with a heavy voice.
I still feel like it's on me,
Donny muttered.
If I hadn't slung her out.
I wouldn't do that to yourself, mate.
Macca said, leaning on the counter.
If you'd let everyone kip for free, you wouldn't have a lodging house left to run.
Still?
Donny shook his head.
She goes out into the cold and now she's another one. That makes 4. This bloke, he's got to be stopped.
Macca exhaled through his nose.
I'm going down the Crown later. Gonna see Joseph, George, and Abraham.
I heard they've organized a vigilance committee.
Donny asked.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
That's what I'm gonna find out.
Donny glanced toward the door. Harry going with you?
Nah.
Macca said, pulling on his coat.
He's watching the shop. And Beth.
Who you taking then?
Caleb.
Donny raised an eyebrow.
Bit risky that. Heard things about Pharaoh.
Macca paused at the door, jaw tight.
So have I. No one's seen him in days. If Caleb knows something, he's not saying anything. But he's not happy.
You trust him?
Macca looked Donny in the eye.
The way this is going, I trust anyone who'll stand next to me when it kicks off.
And with that, he stepped out into the fog.
Macca, flanked by Caleb, entered the upstairs room of the Crown Pub on Mile End Road. The air stank of must and damp pipe smoke, but the room itself was well kept. Polished wooden floors, paneled walls, and a sturdy desk at its center. Behind that desk sat the pub's owner, Aaron, known to friends and colleagues as Joseph. In the far corner, watching everything with a hawk's stare, stood Abraham. Opposite the desk, lounging in a leather chair, was a man named Lusk. Macca nodded his greetings and approached the desk.
All right, Macca?
Said Joe.
Yeah, I'm okay. How's things with you?
Joe shrugged.
That's a good question.
Problems?
Possibly, but nothing we can't deal with.
Joe leaned forward slightly.
So what can we do for you?
Well, word is you've got some sort of vigilance movement up and running.
Joe nodded and gestured to Lusk.
That's Lusky's job. We're fed up with getting the blame every time one of these things flares up, so we're being proactive.
Macca gave Lusk a once-over. Smartly turned out, polite-looking, but with a hardness behind the eyes that said he wasn't to be trifled with.
You got any idea who's doing it?
Macca asked. Joe shrugged.
Why would we? That's why we put up the reward. I mean, even your lot haven't done that.
They ain't my lot.
You know what I mean.
The girl the other night, she lived across from me at Crossingham's. Came into the shop now and again.
Lusk leaned forward.
We could ask you the same. Do you have any idea who it is? Why come to us?
Because you lot have formed a committee. And I know plenty of faces who might be capable of something like this. Could be anyone.
Joe lit a cigarette and exhaled slowly.
That the only reason you came?
Macca shook his head.
No, geezer named Ivan.
Ivan?
Joe raised a brow. Caleb spoke up for the first time.
Yeah, big bloke. If you knew him, you'd know him. He's not the sort you forget.
Joe glanced between Abraham and Lusk. Lusk shrugged. Abraham remained still. Too still. Caleb and Macca clocked it. The man knew something. Joe turned back to them.
Obviously not. Why would we know him?
No harm in asking.
Caleb replied.
Any particular reason you're looking for him?
Caleb paused, then said,
He's selling dynamite and guns to anarchists.
All three men stared. Macca said nothing, letting the surprise roll off him as if this was always part of the plan.
That's why we thought you might know.
Joe's expression hardened. Abraham stiffened in the corner. He definitely knew something, but wasn't about to say.
Well, we don't,
Joe said, voice cold now. Macca sensed the shift. Time to leave.
All right,
He said, trying to lighten it.
like Caleb said, no harm in asking.
Pleasantries were exchanged, and Macca and Caleb left. Outside on Mile End Road, as they walked back toward Dorset Street, Macca cursed under his breath.
What the fuck, Caleb? What were you and Farrow mixed up in?
I told you, we were skint. I was 2 days from the spike. Ivan offered Farrow a job. I just went along.
Well, you need to fucking smarten up. You'll end up back in Newgate the way you're going.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. There's a fucking shitstorm brewing, and I need to get to the bottom of it before all hell breaks loose.
Back in the upstairs room of the Crown, Abraham slammed his hand on the desk.
I told you that bastard Ivan was up to something.
Doesn't mean he's selling gear to Piotr's lot, though.
Lusk replied coolly.
Be your age, Lusk. What do you think he's gonna do with military equipment?
Joe said.
I told you not to trust that bastard.
Abraham slammed. He was still fuming.
He's trouble, Joe.
Stay calm, Abraham.
Joe said.
Stay calm. He's nothing we can't deal with.
Lusk stood up from his chair, adjusting his coat.
It's them nutcases from the Workers' Club that worry me, especially if Ivan's working with them now.
Joe scoffed.
Nah, he won't be working with them. He's an opportunist, our mate Ivan.
A crazed fucking lunatic, if you ask me.
Abraham growled. Then he paused, looking between his two compadres.
You don't think it's him, do you?
Joe and Lusk exchanged glances, quiet for a beat.
Nah.
Joe said, waving it off, though not convincingly. Lusk gave a wry smile, then shook his head.
Wouldn't put it past him. He was always a bit strange around women.
Joe raised his eyebrows.
He's always been a bit strange around everybody.
Abraham let out a short, ironic laugh. The room fell quiet again, the idea hanging heavy in the air. Finally, Abraham spoke.
So what are we gonna do?
Joe leaned back, thinking.
Maybe you keep an eye on Piotr's mob down Burner Street. Lusk, you track Ivan's movements. Meanwhile, our vigilance boys will keep walking the streets.
Abraham and Lusk nodded, already turning over the plan in their heads.
Macca and Caleb turned into Dorset Street and headed toward Macca's shop. Something felt off. Macca picked up his pace, his gut already twisting, and then he saw it. The shop door swinging open. Harry stood in the doorway, cut and bruised, and beside him was Beth, pale and shaking. The shop behind them was a wreck. Shelves knocked over, glass shattered, stock scattered across the floor. Macca stopped dead.
What the fuck?
He stormed forward, eyes scanning Harry, then Beth.
You all right? What the fuck's gone on here?
Harry glanced down, struggling for the right words.
I was in the back when...
Beth took a deep breath, steadier than she looked.
2 blokes came in. I ain't never seen them before.
What? And did all this?
Harry and Beth exchanged a look.
I called Harry out.
Beth said.
They were demanding protection.
Protection?
Macca's voice was rising, sharp with rage.
Yeah,
Harry said, wincing as he spoke.
so obviously I told him to fuck off.
And that's when this
Beth gestured to the wreckage behind them.
happened.
Macca and Caleb exchanged a look.
What did they look like?
Macca asked, trying to keep his cool. Harry shrugged.
Big geezers.
That's very descriptive of you, Harry. You had a tear-up with a couple of blokes and you can't even say what they looked like.
I was too busy trying to sort him out to draw a portrait, Macca.
Mary Jane saw them.
Beth said, cutting in.
She might even know who they are.
You saw 'em, Beth? Well?
She shrugged.
I didn't take a lot of notice, really. Just a couple of big, scary men. Couldn't even tell you what colour hair they had or the clothes they were wearing. Now I understand why the shunters can't catch this killer. Every witness says something different. That's what Johnny Upright said.
Macca stared at her.
What the fuck's that got to do with my shop getting wrecked and a couple of hooligans demanding protection?
Well, excuse me.
Beth huffed. She knew exactly what Macca was like in this mood.
I was trying to explain how describing someone you've only seen once ain't as easy as you think.
Macca gave her a long look. He could tell when she was getting up on her high horse. Sarcasm was always his weapon of choice when faced with Beth's girly wit.
Beth, it was broad daylight.
Macca snapped.
And they were beating the shit out of Harry and wrecking the shop, not two random people chatting in a gaslit alleyway at night.
Beth glared at him.
Well, I can't remember. Sorry, ask Mary Jane.
Macca let out a wry smile.
Where is she?
She went home.
Macca turned to Caleb.
Can you go see Mary Jane? Ask her what she saw.
Caleb nodded.
Next door, isn't she?
Number 13.
Macca confirmed.
Loverboy might be there and he can get a bit arsey if strange men start going round to see her, so be aware.
With that, Caleb left the shop, leaving Macca, Beth and Harry to take in the wreckage. Caleb knocked on the door. Inside, muffled voices could be heard, not polite talk, but an aggressive exchange of opinions. He rolled his eyes. He didn't know Barney, but he'd heard enough about him. The door opened and there stood Barney, glaring.
Yeah?
He said curtly. Caleb looked him over, glaring right back. He took an instant dislike to the man.
Macca sent me. I need to see Mary Jane.
Why?
The hostility in his tone was obvious. Mary Jane pushed past Barney in the doorway and instantly recognized Caleb.
You all right, mate? What's wrong?
Barney disappeared back into the room, silently raging.
Ignore him,
Mary Jane said. Caleb got straight to the point.
The two blokes that wrecked Macca's shop.
Oh, God, yeah. I couldn't believe it. What's Macca gonna do?
He wondered if you knew who they were.
Mary Jane nodded quickly, eager to share the latest scandal.
I saw them leave. They had scarves round their faces, but I know one of them was Mickey Kidney.
Who's he?
Mac'll know. He used to live down the road with a girl.
From the back room, Barney barked.
He's a nasty piece of work, that one. Used to lock his bird up in their room before going out.
Mary Jane turned her head toward him.
That's what she reckoned. But you can't always believe what she says.
Barney appeared in the doorway again.
Can't stand the woman personally.
She's all right. Long Liz just likes to elaborate the truth.
Barney gave her a look.
Like someone else I know.
Mary Jane shot him a sarcastic smile.
Yes, and fuck you too.
Barney disappeared back into the room, chuntering away. Mary Jane rolled her eyes and turned back to Caleb.
Tell Macca, he'll know who I'm talking about.
And you're sure it was him?
Mary Jane nodded.
Yeah, but I've got no idea who the other guy was. New face around here.
Caleb nodded.
Okay.
He gave her a wink, which made her smile. She glanced back to check if Barney was watching, saw that he wasn't, then mouthed, "I'll see you later." Caleb gave her a thumbs up.
Toby sat in the back room of the Blind Beggar with a very ill little Alfie, who was in a bad way, pale, sweating, eyes flickering like candle flames. The door burst open and Paddy stepped in, quickly shutting it behind him.
So far, we're in the clear. I heard a mob down Dorset Street got done the other day.
What, by the Slade brothers?
Toby perked up, suddenly alert.
Think so.
Toby whistled through his teeth.
That'll go down well.
They're not a happy bunch,
Paddy added.
Especially that geezer who runs the bare-knuckle boxing.
Macca?
Yeah, that's him.
Toby's mood turned grim again.
I bet we still get the blame.
Why?
Ivan, that's why. He's a fucking madman.
Paddy rolled his eyes.
You were the one who dropped the box and alerted the guards, Toby. That's on you, not Ivan.
So what happened to that bloke we did the job with then?
Paddy shrugged.
Probably laying low.
All the shunters have got him.
Paddy scoffed.
Nah, we'd have heard.
That's what worries me. If he got nicked, he would have sung, and we'd be in the frame.
But we're not though, are we?
No, exactly.
Toby tensed, thinking it through.
So, either he got away clean, or Ivan made sure he wouldn't talk.
Paddy shook his head and laughed dryly.
You're paranoid. You're losing it, Toby. You're starting to worry me.
I'm telling you.
Maybe Ivan was right about you. Maybe you're not up to it anymore.
Toby stood, his glare hard. Paddy squared up.
He's fucking playing you, Paddy.
You're paranoid, Toby.
From the corner, little Alfie let out a weak cough, dragging their attention back to him.
Come on, boys. We're in this together, remember?
Toby looked down at him and nodded. Paddy moved over, placing a hand on Alfie's forehead.
You're burning up, mate.
He looked back at Toby.
He needs to see the dock again.
Toby furrowed his brow.
I'll get one of the boys to run over there.
DS Billy Thick, better known as Johnny Upright, hammered on the door of a grim tenement in Mulberry Street. When the door creaked open, Billy pushed inside with PC Kemp right behind him.
Hello, Pizer. Mind if I come in?
Pizzer stood frozen, mouth opening, but no words came. His English was broken at best.
Been threatening some of the doxies down Flower and Dean Street, have you?
Pizzer's eyes widened, and he stammered a denial, pleading innocence. Johnny Upright leaned in close, his face inches from Pizzer's.
You think I don't know?
His voice was low, dangerous.
You think I haven't heard the stories?
Pizza looked confused, overwhelmed. Kemp, who had been sweeping the place, stepped back into the room, holding a bundle wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it with a flourish. Inside was a small collection of knives.
Well,
Johnny Upright said, his voice thick with implication.
Look what my colleague has found.
Pizza raised his hands.
I am a shoemaker. They are my tools, my trade.
Johnny Upright let the silence stretch, then raised an eyebrow.
Really?
Yes, I have done nothing wrong.
Johnny Upright locked eyes with him again, unblinking, unrelenting.
Likely fucking story.
He sneered, then broke into a wide, self-satisfied grin.
The room was dank, lit only by a stub of candle and the flicker of a tired fire in the grate. Smoke curled in the shadows, and damp clung to the blacked-out windows. Murph, Moorish, and Bash were sprawled in their corners, bored out of their skulls and beginning to turn on each other. The air was thick with bickering. Sharp, aimless abuse, more out of frustration than fury.
You keep looking at me like that, I'll give you something to look at.
Moorish snapped, rising a little too quick. Murph stood, calm but cold. He didn't speak, just stepped into Moorish's space. Moorish blinked, then stepped back.
All right,
he muttered, retreating just as the door creaked open. Rosie entered, soaked to the bone. Her shawl clung to her, and her boots squelched on the wooden floor. She headed straight to the fire, holding her hands out to the low heat.
Took your time,
Murph said, voice flat and accusing.
Not much out there,
Rosie replied, rubbing warmth into her arms.
Not with this killer on the loose. Streets are crawling with shunters. Swear I saw one trying to pass as a dolly mop.
In a dress?
Bash scoffed, laughing. Rosie smirked.
Yeah. Size 11 boots and a jaw like a butcher. Didn't fool anyone.
They're never going to catch this bastard.
Murph growled, still glaring at Moorish from the earlier square-up. Rosie noticed the tension thick in the air.
You lot getting on each other's tits again?
Forget it.
Murph snapped.
What did you get?
3 shillings.
Let's be having it then.
She stepped toward the table, but Murph caught her wrist hard. Too hard. His fingers dug into her skin.
You better not be holding out on me,
he said, eyes narrowing, twisting her arm slightly to make the point hurt.
I told you,
Rosie hissed, trying not to flinch.
It's quiet. Too many eyes.
He held her a second longer, then let go. She rubbed her arm, jaw clenched, and turned away. Moorish made the mistake of stepping in.
Lay off her, Murph!
Murph lunged and slammed him against the wall, one hand around his throat.
Murph! Enough.
Rosie shouted, trying to pull him off with Bash right behind her.
There's a job,
she blurted.
I heard something.
That stopped him. He released Moorish, who gasped and stumbled back, face flushed with fear and fury. Murph turned to her, cold as ice.
You better not be pulling my fucking leg, girl. I'm not in the mood.
The streets were black as soot, heavy with silence and the distant bark of a stray dog. Dimmy stepped lightly through the East End fog, returning late from Crystal Palace Market. That particular slum night silence, thick, dead, full of damp and misery. Out behind the International Workers' Men's Club, in the dark recess of Dutfield's yard, Ivan stood like a statue next to the wagon loaded with crates stolen from the Radcliffe dry docks. Coase and Sam rifled through the boxes, checking the inventory. Dimmy arrived just as Coase gave a sharp nod. Dimmy responded in kind, then Sam turned to Ivan and passed him a cloth sack of used banknotes.
Are you not with the committee?
Sammy asked, eyes probing. Ivan feigned confusion, brow furrowed.
Who?
Ivan smiled.
I don't work for no fucker.
Sam smiled knowingly and gave a small nod. Business concluded, Ivan turned and strode briskly out of the yard and down Berners Street, his greatcoat flapping at his ankles. In the shadows across the street, Murph and Bash watched like wolves.
He's a big fucker, ain't he?
Bash muttered.
Don't mean shit.
Murph spat, eyes locked on their target. Rosie emerged from a side alley and drifted down Berners Street, her pace casual, her face warm with a hint of flirtation. Behind her, Moorish hunched under a ragged coat, leaning on a stick, doing his best impression of an old, crippled man, carrying the banner, as they said. As Ivan approached, Rosie stepped into his path.
Hello, handsome.
She purred.
Want the business?
Ivan stopped, turned and stared. Not a word. Just a glare, raw and primal, like something wild and feral had crawled behind his eyes. Rosie's breath caught. The heat drained from her face.
I don't pay for whores,
he said, voice low and cold. She froze, fear rooting her to the spot. Ivan's head began to turn, just enough time. Moorish struck from behind, rising up in one fluid motion, but Ivan was faster. He hurled Moorish aside like a rag doll, sending him crashing into the gutter. Ivan turned on Rosie with an animal snarl, grabbing her throat with one hand and lifting her with terrifying strength. She gagged, boots kicking, air choking in her lungs. Bash arrived first, hurling a punch that cracked against Ivan's jaw. Ivan dropped Rosie like a sack, barely flinching from the blow. Bash struck again, another thunderous shot to the face. Ivan reeled, but not back. Forward. He slammed into Bash with a flurry of punches, quick, brutal, and terrifyingly accurate. Bash staggered and dropped with a groan, stunned. Rosie crawled away, wheezing. Moorish was back on his knees, coughing, his hands trembling as he reached for something, anything, to get back into the fight. Ivan stood over them all, breathing heavy, eyes burning, waiting for the next fool to move. Murph charged in, cosh drawn, fury etched into every line of his face. He didn't hesitate, cracked Ivan across the side of the neck, then the gut, then the temple. Ivan staggered, grunted, but didn't drop. He was a bigger man, stronger by far, but Murph was a born street fighter, all knees and teeth and dirty tricks. With practiced precision, Murph drove a hard kick just above Ivan's knee. The joint buckled slightly, enough to throw him off balance, just enough time for Murph to swing his cosh again, this time catching the side of Ivan's skull. Blood sprayed, glistening in the weak gaslight. Ivan roared. The blow hadn't stunned him, it had enraged him. He moved fast, too fast. 3 vicious punches slammed into Murph's ribs and jaw, folding him down onto the cobbles. Bash, gasping but not done, lunged again, but Ivan was ready. He whipped out a long butcher's blade, thick and gleaming. It punched into Bash's chest, clean and deep, right into his heart. Bash crumpled, dead, before he hit the ground. Murph scrambled up just in time to see his oldest friend collapse to the ground. Blood pooled, soaking the cracks in the cobbles. Moorish dropped to his knees beside Bash's lifeless body, his breath gone, staring at him in disbelief. Murph knelt too, shook Bash, but there was no response. No breath, no movement. His throat clenched. Bash, gone, just like that. They'd known each other since they were kids, sharing scraps and scrapes in the alleys of Whitechapel. Now this. Rosie, still slumped by the wall, was shaking, clutching at her throat, tears cutting lines through the grime on her cheeks. Then Murph saw Ivan, already halfway down the alley, that massive shape melting into the shadows. Murph's fists clenched, his knuckles white. He took a shaky breath, seething.
I'm gonna have you for this, you bastard.
He growled through gritted teeth, and Ivan disappeared into the dark.
D.I. Reed stood at the charge desk in Lehman Street Station. The desk sergeant was hunched over the ledger, scribbling entries with mechanical detachment. D.C. Walt Dew joined him from the muster room.
So much for Pizer and Leather Apron.
Reed studied Walt for a moment.
Alibis?
Walt nodded.
Cast iron.
Reed gave a faint smile.
They don't call him Johnny Upright for nothing. Fred was skeptical Pizer was Leather Apron anyway.
Where is Fred?
Gravesend.
Walt blinked.
Gravesend.
You remember Mrs. Fiddymont from the Prince Albert?
Walt rolled his eyes.
Yeah, I remember. Man with blood on his hands, acting strange in the pub.
Apparently someone matching the same description was seen in a pub down there. Blood-stained shirt again.
Seriously?
Walt replied incredulously.
Mob riots all over last night, Walt.
Walt grimaced.
You know as well as I do, Gov. Some people just wait for the excuse to kick 7 shades of shit out of their neighbors. Old grudges dressed up as civic duty.
Reed chuckled.
You're nearly as cynical as me, Walt.
Nearly.
Walt replied, eyebrow raised.
Few more years down here and you will be.
Just then, Johnny Upright, DS Billy Thick, entered the charge room. Walt leaned into Reed and muttered,
Talk of the devil. And speaking of grudges.
Reed turned slightly, his expression unreadable as he clocked Johnny Upright.
He had an alibi then, Billy?
He asked. Johnny Upright nodded curtly.
So he says, Gov. But I think he's lying. You know what this lot are like. They stick together.
What are you going to do?
Reed asked.
Let him go for now. But I'm off with Stylesy. Got a lead in Holloway. Couple of doctors say a butcher's been acting suspicious.
Reed nodded.
Oh yeah, I heard that came through. Aberline gave it to Stylesy, did he?
Billy nodded again and turned to go.
We'll see what we find.
As Johnny Upright exited, Walt and Reed exchanged a long glance. Walt looked far from convinced. Reed smirked.
Maybe I was wrong, Walt. Maybe you are as cynical as me. Billy has his faults, but he's a good man in a pinch.
Walt nodded. He didn't want to say anything more.
Coase, Dimmy, Sam, Morris, and Dimmy's wife stood in the bar of the International Workers' Men's Club. The place was deserted, closed down for the night. In their hands was the latest broadsheet bearing the bold headline, Lines on the Terrible Tragedy. Beneath it, the subheading read, There may be murders from panic to add to murders from lust for blood. A touch will fire the whole district in the mood which it is now. They all wore wide, gleeful grins. Mutters of satisfaction filled the stale air.
This is fantastic,
Dimmy exclaimed, eyes gleaming. Coase nodded slowly, the corners of his mouth twitching upward.
This is perfect. Exactly what Piotr wanted,
Dimmy added, voice hushed with reverence. They clinked glasses and downed nightcaps in quiet, fervent celebration.
Aberlin and Reed looked on as 2 constables wheeled in 17 assorted ruffians, thugs, and ne'er-do-wells into the muster room of Lehman Street Police Station. Walt was in the carriage en route to the station, escorting Mrs. Fiddymont and 2 other witnesses who had seen the suspect in the Prince Albert pub, the man acting strange, trying to hide his face, blood on his hands. As the hansom cab pulled up to the station doors, Walt ushered the witnesses out and guided them through the lobby to the desk in the charge room. The desk sergeant called Reed, who, on noticing the arrivals, signaled for Mrs. Fiddymont to proceed into the muster room to view the parade, and see if the suspicious man was among those assembled. After much deliberation, she drew a blank. Aberline frowned, clearly irritated. Reed simply rolled his eyes.
Here we fucking go again,
he muttered under his breath. Next up was a man named Taylor, also no identification. The suspect wasn't among them. Lastly came a woman named Russell, who claimed to have seen the man in the pub. Reed found her brazen and verbose, the sort who might enjoy the attention a little too much, not unlike Pearlie. At first, Mrs. Russell believed she'd found the man. Aberlin felt a flicker of hope. It was the same individual he had personally escorted from Gravesend, William Piggott.
At fucking last,
Aberline muttered, exhaling.
A break.
But Reed wasn't so sure. He'd seen too many of these shaky identity parades to take anything at face value. And sure enough, once Mrs. Russell was taken into the charge room to make a statement, she began to backtrack.
Are you sure?
Aberlin pressed. Russell shrugged.
Maybe it wasn't him after all.
Aberlin and Reed shared a knowing look, disappointment without surprise. Walt returned the witnesses to the Prince Albert by hansom cab, while Aberline and Reed released the rest of the parade, all but Piggott. Aberlin decided he'd interrogate Piggott, just in case something surfaced. It did. The longer it went on, the more erratic Piggott became, mumbling incoherent one moment, raving like a lunatic the next. A doctor was called. After a brief examination, it was concluded that Piggott was, in fact, mad as a dog. He was soon carted off to the asylum at Bow. Later, Reed and Aberlin sat in Reed's office with a stiff drink and a smoke.
At least he's off the streets,
Reed said.
If there's no more murders, we know it was him.
Aberlin nodded slowly.
Stylesy and Johnny Upright brought in that butcher this morning.
Reed exhaled a long, thoughtful drag of smoke.
Eisenschmidt?
Yeah, that's him.
I questioned him.
Aberlin looked up, curious.
And?
Reed shrugged.
He's unstable enough. Could be him, but I've got a feeling he's going the same way as Piggott.
Aberline downed his drink in one go.
After what I saw with Chapman,
he said grimly.
I've got a feeling the only way this ends is with the lunatic locked in an asylum.
Reed was quiet for a moment.
What do you think's driving it? Honestly, gang? Lone madman?
Aberline took another drag from his cigarette.
I'm not sure. There's no sex, but the sex organs have been targeted. There's hatred of women in it, definitely. But it's beyond me in what way.
Reed nodded, thinking.
Who would know?
A doctor of some kind?
Reed leaned forward.
Might be worth having a word with your governor.
Aberline nodded.
No harm.
Toby picked up his Kosh and knuckle dusters from the table, sliding them into separate pockets of his long trench coat with practiced ease. He looked over at Paddy, who sat with his feet up, staring into space, showing no sign of moving.
You coming to do the rounds?
Toby asked. Paddy didn't answer.
Suit yourself.
Toby muttered, tired of Paddy's attitude lately. He was certain Ivan's malign influence was to blame for the rift between them. He hated Ivan, should never have got him involved. But like so many things, it had seemed like a good idea at the time. Toby turned to the two young boys near the fireplace, roasting chestnuts.
You two coming? Might learn the ropes.
One of them glanced at Paddy, then back at Toby, shook his head, and returned to his roasting. The other, a tall 12-year-old named Dan, stood and joined Toby without hesitation. They stepped out into the chill of a mid-September night. The air was sharp, carrying the scent of coal smoke and sewage. Dan walked with a swagger, mimicking the mannerisms of older boys in the gang, particularly Paddy. Toby, in a different mood, might have had something to say about that. But tonight, he welcomed the company.
Won't there be loads of shunters out?
Dan asked.
Because of the murders?
Toby shrugged, feigning calm.
We'll be all right. They're not looking for the likes of us. And the clients usually pay without fuss.
They slipped through an alleyway, past a pair of drunks slumped outside a pub, and two dolly mops on a corner. One of the women called out,
"Hello, handsome. Want the business?"
Aimed at Dan. He looked awkward, trying to ignore them, which only earned him a chorus of laughter.
A bit silly being out here, ain't it, girls?
Toby said, trying to sound authoritative.
Piss off.
One snapped. Toby turned, shooting her a glare.
Watch yourselves.
he said, attempting a threatening tone, but even he could hear the hollowness in his voice. More laughter followed them as they moved on. Dan glanced at Toby, who kept his eyes forward, saying nothing. They reached a small shop still open despite the hour. It sold second-hand clothes to the poorest in Whitechapel. Toby usually had no trouble here. The owner would have the money ready, maybe even a bit of banter. But tonight felt different. The man behind the counter stood stiffly. His expression was unreadable. Toby approached with measured calm.
All right, mate.
The man let out a snort of derision. Dan shifted beside him, sensing the change in atmosphere. Toby's fingers found the kosh in his coat pocket, though he didn't draw it.
You're not going to give me problems, are you?
Toby asked evenly. The owner didn't flinch, just stared, like he could see straight through Toby's crumbling confidence. Toby slowly pulled the kosh from his pocket and gave Dan a nod. The boy moved to a rack of clothes, pretending to browse. The shopkeeper smirked, then flipped a single tanner onto the floor at Toby's feet.
All I got this week.
Toby didn't move for a moment. Then slowly he crouched, picked up the coin, and rose. He didn't speak, just nodded to Dan and walked out. Outside, Dan looked up at him.
I thought you got 3 shillings from there, usually.
Toby kept walking.
Times are hard. Murders have hurt business.
The lie came out quiet, bitter and hollow. The two of them melted into the night, heading for the next stop on the round.
Macca was putting the final touches on the repairs inside his shop. He called up the stairs. Macca was putting the final touches on the repairs inside his shop. He called up the stairs.
Beth, come down, will you?
He listened as her clogged feet thudded down each step.
Look after the shop. I'm just popping next door,
he said, brushing down his sleeves as he stepped out. Dorset Street was its usual midday mess, a drifting mass of ne'er-do-wells and outcasts, those with no work, no coin for the pub, just lingering in the stink of their own disappointment. Macca weaved through them and ducked under the small archway into Miller's Court. He banged on the door of number 13. Without waiting long, he pushed it open, greeted by a half-dressed Mary Jane pulling her blouse on.
Jesus, Macca, you always walk in on half-dressed ladies?
Macca grinned.
Course not, Mary Jane, but then I didn't, did I?
Ha fucking ha!
She shot back, smirking.
We could have been at it for all you knew.
Macca raised an eyebrow.
At this time of day?
Mary Jane shrugged and raised hers right back.
There's fuck all else to do.
What, you're not skint again?
Macca rubbed his hands together.
What's it to you?
Mary Jane replied, folding her arms.
I don't know. Rent maybe. You're in arrears.
Mary Jane rolled her eyes.
Knew it weren't a social visit.
Macca glanced over at the figure of Barney, lying on the bed with his back turned.
What's wrong with him?
Mary Jane rolled her eyes again.
Miserable fuckers up the arse again. Went down the docks first thing, but couldn't get any work and doesn't like me working.
Oh, well,
Macca said, grinning.
I've got a job for you that don't involve horizontal activity.
Oh, someone who likes it standing up, you mean?
Mary Jane shot back with a smirk. Barney rolled over and glared.
I'm only joking,
she snapped. Barney said nothing, just grunted and turned back to face the wall. Mary Jane and Macca exchanged a look. She made a crude hand gesture behind Barney's back.
What's the job?
She asked.
I want you to go with Caleb. Find out where Mickey Kidney's hanging about these days.
Why don't you ask his bird?
Came the muttered voice from the bed. Mary Jane shrugged at Macca.
You know her?
He asked.
Not to speak to. You must have seen her. They used to live just down the road.
Maybe. What's her name?
Long Liz.
Barney muttered again. Macca nodded, then turned back to Mary Jane.
So, can you go with Caleb and find out?
Mary Jane nodded.
Okay.
Barney sat up, scowling.
I'll go.
Macca considered it a second, then shook his head.
Nice of you to offer, mate. But Caleb knows what I need him to do.
Barney glared.
What, I'm just supposed to let my woman go off with some other bloke?
Macca's patience was fraying.
I ain't asking her to fuck him, am I? Just tag along so they look less obvious.
But I can do it.
I just fucking told you. I need Caleb, not you, lover boy.
Barney clenched his jaw. Mary Jane stepped in, raising her hands.
It's fine. I'll go.
Barney snapped.
Why should I let you?
Mary Jane glared at him. Sometimes she really hated him. Macca stepped in, calm but with steel in his voice.
It's a favor, Barney. And let's not forget, you're already well behind on rent. I'm not asking much.
Barney stared at the ceiling for a second, then flopped back over, face to the wall. He knew Macca was right. Pushing it further could get them both chucked out, and that'd be the end of him and Mary Jane for good. Macca and Mary Jane exchanged another glance, this time with a flicker of pity. They could both see Barney was hurting.
When do you want me to go?
She asked.
10 minutes, yeah?
She nodded and smiled.
How much?
Macca grinned.
Cheeky bitch, 2 shillings.
Mary Jane raised her eyebrows.
Wow, pushing the boat out.
Off your rent.
Her smile slipped.
Knew that was too good to be fucking true.
Macca chuckled and headed out the door. Mary Jane began to ready herself. From the bed, Barney grumbled.
Looking forward to Caleb's company, are you?
Mary Jane scowled at his back.
Why don't you grow the fuck up?
The Black Swan was as smoky and sour as ever, the stink of old beer, sweat, and crushed hopes thick in the air. Mary Jane and Caleb stepped through the door like they belonged, even though they both knew it was a risky place to be poking around. Caleb clocked Mickey Kidney almost immediately. Big lump of a man, shaved head, scar down his cheek, working the door like he owned it.
That him?
Caleb murmured. Mary Jane nodded, keeping her voice low.
Yeah, that's the bastard.
He must be running with the Slade brothers now then,
Caleb said. He noticed Lucy and smiled, trying to catch her attention for a drink. She recognized him from his previous visit and smiled back, making sure Tommy didn't see. Inside, the pub was busy. Dockers and corner boys hunched over pints, low voices and louder arguments, creating a constant low hum. Behind the bar, Lucy poured drinks with a forced smile, while Tommy Slade loomed over her, jabbing his finger, spitting words like venom.
You useless cow, that's the 3rd pint you've spilt today. Are you thick or just fucking stupid?
He barked. The pub turned awkwardly silent for a moment, nobody meeting anyone's eyes. Lucy muttered an apology and kept wiping the bar. Caleb leaned on the counter, his tone gentle.
You all right, love?
She looked up, startled, a little color rushing to her cheeks. Maybe from shame, maybe from fear. She opened her mouth, but before she could answer, Tommy's voice sliced across the bar again.
What did you say to her?
He growled. Caleb turned his head, slow and calm.
I just asked if she was all right, mate.
Tommy moved in closer, eyes narrowing, that kind of slow, simmering anger that always ended in violence.
You got a thing for barmaids, have you?
Caleb stood his ground.
No, I've got a thing against bullies.
That did it.
You and me outside, shithead,
Tommy said, jaw clenched. Mickey Kidney was already off his stool, grinning as he pushed the door open behind them. Mary Jane grabbed Caleb's arm.
Don't,
she hissed. But he patted her hand and went anyway. They didn't even wait till the alley. Just round the corner out the back, fists were flying. Tommy started it, a heavy gut punch that doubled Caleb over, followed by a hook from Mickey that sent him staggering into the wall. Boots came next. Tommy kicked him in the ribs, Mickey in the leg. Caleb tried to fight back, but it was 2 against 1, and they were built like cellar doors. Mary Jane watched from the corner, heart in her throat. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe, just hoped they wouldn't kill him. Inside, Lucy watched too, face pale. She glanced at the door, but made no move. She couldn't, not without Tommy taking it out on her later. Still, she looked like she wanted to cry. Finally, after what felt like forever, Tommy spat on Caleb and walked away, wiping blood from his knuckles.
Keep your mouth shut next time, shithead.
Mickey gave Caleb one last kick, then followed Tommy back inside. Mary Jane ran to him as soon as they were gone.
Jesus, Caleb!
He groaned, coughed, and she helped him to his feet, half carrying him away from the Black Lion and back into the shadows. Lucy caught Mary Jane's eye through the pub window as they disappeared into the alley, just for a second, and gave the faintest shake of her head. She couldn't do anything. Not now. Mary Jane didn't blame her. But she hated Tommy Slade more than ever. Macca was leaning on the counter of his shop, arms folded, eyes fixed on the door like he'd been waiting an hour, which he probably had. When Mary Jane finally came through, alone and looking rattled, his expression sharpened instantly.
Where's Caleb?
He asked, straight to the point.
He's all right.
Mary Jane said quickly, but her tone told a different story.
Took a bit of a kicking, though.
Macca stepped round the counter like a man walking into a storm.
From who?
Mickey Kidney and Tommy Slade.
That made Macca stop. He looked at her hard, weighing the words.
What the fuck for? I only asked you to check out where Kidney hung out.
Well, he's obviously working for the Slade brothers.
Mary Jane said quietly.
Hell, Macca, Tommy gave his missus a right earful. Caleb only asked if she was all right, and Tommy got right arsey, and him and Kidney took Caleb outside and beat the fuck out of him.
Macca let out a slow breath through his nose, rubbing the stubble on his jaw.
So that's who it was,
he muttered.
Mickey Kidney and Tommy Slade, coming into my place, demanding protection money, wrecking my shop, beating Harry, frightening Beth.
He slammed his hand down on the counter, making a few jars rattle.
Those bastards have overstepped the mark.
Mary Jane hesitated.
So, what now?
Macca's eyes narrowed, not at her, but at something in his head. A plan forming, slow and dangerous.
I know men who owe me favors. Men Slade wouldn't see coming. Tommy thinks he's the only one with muscle on these streets. He's wrong.
Not that Tyler crew from the old nickel?
Mary Jane asked, almost whispering. Macca grinned.
I hadn't thought about that lot, but they do owe me, and a right nasty fucking lot they are.
He looked up at her, the anger giving way to something more measured, calculated.
Make sure Caleb's all right, will you?
Mary Jane gave him a look and a nod.
I'll do my best, but I make a shite nurse.
Really? I heard you had a good bedside manner,
Macca said. He turned back to the shop window, watching the street.
I'll deal with them, both of them, but I'll bide my time. Do you know Mickey's bird?
Mary Jane shrugged.
Not really.
So why'd they decide to hit my shop?
We couldn't really suss it out while we were there. It just kicked off. That Tommy's a proper thug.
Macca gave her a look.
Clearly.
He ran a hand over his shaved head, thinking.
Something don't sit right with this. I'm going to speak to a few people. I might go see Murph and his lot as well,
he suggested. Mary Jane's face changed instantly, stormy.
Fuck off. I ain't going anywhere near that head case again.
They owe me,
Macca said.
Owe you too, after what happened.
They're off their fucking heads, Macca.
He nodded grimly.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going round lately.
What are you thinking?
She asked. Macca shrugged.
Still working that bit out.
He leaned into the back room.
Harry?
A battered Harry appeared, his eyes still swollen.
Yeah, Gov?
You seen Johnny Upright lately?
Harry shook his head.
No, he's probably tied up with all that murder business.
Macca turned back to Mary Jane.
You heard anything about those killings?
She shook her head.
No, scares the shite out of me, though.
Later, the Crown pub. The Crown was its usual noisy, sweaty self, full of smoke, shouting, and bad decisions. Macca made his way through the crush and spotted Abraham at the bar. He didn't wait for a greeting.
Is Joe in?
Abraham turned, looked Macca over, and shook his head slowly.
Why?
My shop got turned over while I was in here the other day.
Abraham raised an eyebrow, unimpressed.
And what's that got to do with us?
Macca's tone stayed calm, but his eyes were sharp.
Things are getting a bit naughty. Slade brothers nothing to do with you, are they?
Fuck all to do with us,
Abraham said, folding his arms.
Someone's pulling their strings.
Abraham studied him, less casual now. He could tell Macca wasn't here to bluff.
I'll pass it on, but they're nothing to do with us.
Macca shrugged.
I'll take your word for it.
He turned and walked out, leaving Abraham watching him go.
Macca was serving fried fish and potatoes to a customer when the bell above the shop door gave a jangle. A well-dressed man in a bowler hat stepped inside. Macca recognized him immediately and grinned. The rest of the clientele, however, weren't so pleased. A hush fell, and one by one they made hasty excuses to leave, even the customer halfway through being served nearly bolted without his full order.
Oi!
Macca called after him, holding up a paper bundle.
Don't you want your potatoes?
Oh, yeah, forgot those,
the man muttered, trying to keep his face averted from the newcomer. Macca chuckled and turned to the man in the bowler, D.S. Billy Thick, a.k.a. Johnny Upright.
I was wondering when I'd be seeing you.
Been a bit busy lately, Macca.
The detective replied coolly. Macca raised an eyebrow.
Yeah, I've been hearing things. What's the word?
I was hoping you'd tell me.
Macca looked him over with a smirk.
Promotion to DS suits you. You're looking sharp.
The man laughed.
You don't change, do you? Still taking the piss.
You love it.
The detective leaned on the counter, relaxed now.
You know, I've questioned just about everyone in Dorset Street, except you.
Leaving the best till last, eh?
Macca said with a grin.
I was just saying to Harry yesterday, have you seen Johnny Upright lately?
D.S. Thick smiled.
Sporting a decent shiner last time I saw him. Having some trouble, Macca?
Macca gave a nonchalant smile.
No more than usual, and not as much as you lot, so I hear.
The DS nodded.
That bird from over the road, did you know her?
Which one?
Yeah, I know, it's getting a bit like that. The one they call Dark Annie.
Macca frowned thoughtfully.
Not really, mate. She came in once or twice, kept herself to herself.
Was she on the game, do you know?
Couldn't say. Donnie was whining about chucking her out for not having her DOS money, so like most of the girls round here, if the chance for easy coin comes up, it's rarely turned down, is it?
The DS nodded, mulling it over.
Doesn't help us much, though.
Any witnesses?
He let out a dry laugh.
The usual. Apparently a man was seen chatting to her, between 5'2" and 6'1", fair to dark hair, possibly bearded or clean-shaven, wearing a hat. Could have been a deerstalker, maybe a top hat. Oh, and he had clothes on.
Macca chuckled.
Saw someone just like that last night.
D.S. Thick perked up.
Yeah?
Yeah, about 80% of the male population of Whitechapel, and a few of the women too.
Thick grinned.
Yep, that's about where we are too.
Macca rounded the counter, locked the shop door, and flipped the sign to closed. He turned to D.S. Thick.
Any of your lot know anything about the robbery at the Black Swan?
Thick shook his head.
Only heard whispers. No one reported a robbery.
Strike you as odd?
Thick gave a wry smile.
You know better than that, Macca. You didn't report your place getting turned over, did you?
Macca chuckled.
Where'd you hear that?
You hear things. You know how it is.
Couple of geezers came in demanding protection. Beth told them to fuck off, so they smashed the place up.
Thick raised an eyebrow.
Protection? From you?
Funny, that's exactly what I said.
Thick met Macca's gaze.
Someone's trying to tell you something.
Funny again, that's exactly what I said.
I can ask around, see if any of our boys have heard anything.
Macca shook his head.
Appreciate it, mate, but no one's going to talk to you lot. Too scared.
Thick nodded, almost laughing.
Ain't that the bloody truth? The Gov still reckons someone out there knows who's doing these murders, but won't speak up.
Yeah, the committee down the Crown reckon they know nothing. But you never know, do you? Ever heard of someone called Ivan?
Johnny Upright frowned.
Nope.
Tommy Slade?
Another shake of the head.
Mickey Kidney?
That got a smile.
Most people know that thug.
Macca snorted.
Well, not to be a grass, but I've got it on very good authority that little bastard was one of the ones who turned this place over.
Thick looked him in the eye.
I'm surprised he's still breathing.
Macca spread his hands, mock innocent.
Johnny, I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Of course you are, Macca. Why else would I swear to your good character on the good book? Just saying, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Macca laughed.
Might leave it to Harry to get his own back eventually. Perish the thought of him taking the law into his own hands.
Thick gave a knowing nod.
That's what's worrying me about this killer. Old Squibby nearly got lynched the other day.
I heard about that,
Macca said, unlocking the door again and flipping the sign back to open.
Is he a suspect?
Nah, one of our lot just wanted a word about an old incident. He ran off, and the crowd that was already worked up about the murders thought we were chasing him. Turned into a full-on mob hunt.
Macca grinned.
What happened?
He ended up hiding behind a couple of coppers, begging to be taken to the station.
No? Really?
Macca said, grinning wide.
No word of a lie. The little bastard was shitting himself.
Macca laughed.
Teach the little fucker.
The Gov said it was the quickest rehabilitation of a recidivist he'd ever seen.
Thick said, shaking his head.
Was that Freddy?
Thick nodded.
Bet he's glad to be back down here, eh?
Macca asked.
What do you think?
They shared a chuckle. Thick turned to leave, then looked back.
Listen, if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Macca nodded.
I'll do the same, Johnny.
With that, D.S. Thick tipped his hat and went on his way.